I did Bat Month for the anticipation and release of Batman Arkham Origins, and yet I didn't end up reviewing that game for that Bat Month. And I still wonder why you guys haven't unsubscribed for me yet, but that's why I'm here today, because I'm going to be reviewing Batman Arkham Origins for you guys after 2 months of it being out. That's really shitty. Again, why haven't you guys unsubscribed for me yet? But I'm also going to be reviewing it for Christmas because, well, this game takes place on Christmas Eve, so that's why I'm reviewing it for you guys on Christmas Eve, and as my final video for the Christmas season. So that said, let's start talking about Batman Arkham Origins. Well, not really start talking about Batman Arkham Origins, but talk about the other two Batman games that came out before Batman Arkham Origins, which are Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. It only makes sense to talk about the previous installments of the franchise and then talk about the newest installment, so that's why, before I begin, I want to start talking about Batman Arkham Asylum first. This game is still a great game. I love this game, and I do hold a lot of respect towards it because it's the Batman game that started this franchise off and really made game developers sort of take comic book video games a lot more seriously, because this game first came out, not really a whole lot of people thought it was going to be good. They thought it was just going to be the same shtick as before, where, you know, it looks kind of good and almost looks playable, but then you buy it and it's really, really bad. But the difference between this game and those other games I mentioned is that this game actually had people that wanted to make a good game behind it. There was a lot of great talent behind it, both in developing the game as well as voicing the characters in the game, because this game had Mark Hamill as Joker and Kevin Conroy as Batman, who played them in the Batman the Animated Series. So I think that definitely got a lot of people to buy the game, but still had a lot of people sort of on edge, like, I don't know if I should buy it. So it came as a big surprise that this game was as good as it is, and as it is still to this day. There's many other Batman games, as well as just comic book superhero games before, which is really, really bad and almost unplayable. We've gotten some good Batman games, playable, bearable Batman games before, but none that were really, like, definitive Batman games. Like, oh, that's the Batman game you have to play. Nothing really like that. Playable ones, but just not definitive ones. But this game definitely was that at the time, until we got Batman Arkham City, which, by every means of the imagination, at least in my opinion, this is the best sequel ever made. Either in video games or movies, this is the best sequel that I've ever played, I've ever saw. Just the best sequel, hands down, plain and simple. When this game first was coming out, I was really excited and really hyped up for it, but I was also extremely afraid and scared that this game was coming out, because when it was first coming out, I just believed that it was going to be a huge, giant rehash of Batman Arkham Asylum. It was just going to take everything that was great about Batman Arkham Asylum and just repackage them in this game. That's all we were going to get. Because, let's face it, that's what most sequels really are. Just not an original story being told, or, hey, let's make a sequel because there's another story to tell. Just, oh, hey, the first game was really, or, hey, the first installment was really acclaimed and a lot of people really liked it. It also made a lot of money, so let's just repackage it and put it back in a sequel that's totally unnecessary and does not need to be made. Batman Arkham City is the complete antithesis of what I just mentioned most sequels are, because this is the perfect sequel ever. If I ever make like a top 10 list of best sequels ever, you're going to see this along with Terminator 2 and Empire Strikes Back, because this is just my number one favorite sequel. It takes everything that made the original great and expands on that. It also takes what made the original bad, what little that there was in Batman Arkham Asylum, and makes that better and also expands on that like a sequel should. That's why Batman Arkham City is still the definitive Batman game to me. It's my favorite video game, period. That should give you an idea of what I think about Batman Arkham Origins. It's just the definitive Batman game, the definitive game, in my opinion, my favorite game to date, but take that with a grain of salt because I'm not a big gamer. This is just sort of by default my favorite video game to date. But it's just a great Batman game. That's why I give it a 10 out of 10 still. And I give Batman Arkham Asylum a 9.5 out of 10, only because there's a few minor stuff I really don't like the graphics really look... They make the characters look very rubbery and just very lifeless. And some of the stuff that they're saying doesn't match at all how their lips are moving. So some of the voice, the mouth movements are really bad in it. But it still is a great game. And this is an even better game. So definitely pick these two games up for yourself because these are great Batman games. I mean, at this point, they actually have a double of, you can buy these games at GameStop for like $14 in the same case, like both these games on one disc or whatever. So that's a steal. These games are worth that money completely. They're worth more than that. Like these games were $1,000 each. They're totally worth it because they're just great Batman games and great Batman stories. Some of the best Batman storytelling that you'll ever see, and they're just great Batman games. So when I heard that we were getting a prequel to both these games, I started getting really. I was happy that we were getting another Batman game, but I was also very hesitant towards it because it was a prequel. Arkham City left open so many questions that could be answered and so many questions that can be explored, and a sequel that making a prequel was just a horrible idea from the start, and I was just very disappointed by that. I mean, I was happy that we were getting another Batman game, but I was very disappointed by that, and especially disappointed me that we were getting a prequel instead of a sequel, because they would also introduce in this said prequel the Justice League, and it would be Silver AG and whatever. And these were just the rumors that occurred. These are not in the final product of the game. I want to stress that right there. And so I was very, very, very hesitant when this game was first when the rumors started to fly about this game. And I was very hesitant about it, and I was just not at all looking forward to it. But when it was first announced, and when the rumors started to fly, they said that they wanted to have this game out by the end of 2013. Obviously, they did. But what I thought when they said that was that they wanted to make the game in 2013 and have it be out by the end of 2013. I thought that was completely unreasonable and just would not work at all. And I thought the game would end up being something like Young Justice Legacy, where the graphics are totally shitty and the gameplay is even worse. I thought it would end up being something like that, but it does not end up being like that at all. I thought it was going to end up being just like that, like just a throwaway game, nothing else. But when it was officially announced back in like spring of 2013, earlier in 2013, I actually started to get a lot more hopeful towards it, because none of those rumors, well, a couple of those rumors, didn't at all come to fruition, and a lot of them were just left in the dust. I don't know why they were rumors to begin with. And I started to get a little bit more excited for this. And that's why I pre-ordered Batman Arkham Origins, and I even went as far to pre-order the Collector's Edition, and I ended up getting the Collector's Edition. And now I've delayed my thoughts on Batman Arkham Origins. So far, we're at the 7.5 minute mark, so I should probably be getting to the review of it now. What are my thoughts on Batman Arkham Origins? It's good. It's good. Boy, is that really disappointing. The game is good. It's a mixed bag. It really is just a big mixed bag of opinions and emotions. Now, I should probably get to explaining why this review it took so long for me to finally make, especially because these videos are easy to make. The main reason why I did not make a review of this game when I first finished the game was not that it took me too long to play the game, because the game always took me a day to beat, not that hard. The reason why I did not review this game when I first finished it was because I hated this game when I finished it. I despised it. I was really disappointed with this game by the end of it. I think that has to do with how long the game was, because when it ended, I was sitting there going, there could be like another hour to this game. It cannot be possibly this short. There better be a DLC sometime soon that makes the length of the game even longer. And so far, we haven't gotten any news of that yet. So when I first finished this game, I hated it. I despised it, and I was just totally upset by the game. So I could not do a review of me just ranting on it. I think it would have been smarter if I did a first impressions and then now do a review of it. But this is a video game, and I have multiple times to play it, so it only makes sense to just do a review and not a first impressions. So that's why I didn't do a first impressions. So after I first finished the game, I was thinking to myself, it cannot be possibly this bad as I'm saying. Maybe I missed something when I was first playing it, so I should probably replay the game. So I replayed the game, and I ended up actually liking it a lot more than I first, played it. When I first played it, I didn't absolutely love it. I didn't think it was absolutely amazing. I thought it was just good. I thought it was very, very good, and I liked it a lot more than when I first played it. And I played it a couple more times, and my thoughts started to become mixed and started to fluctuate very strangely. And that's the thing about this game. But now, since I played it a lot more times, my thoughts on the game have remained good and will remain good. So that's the reason why I did not make the review when I first finished the game, because I my thoughts on it were very negative when I first finished the game, so I wanted to play it a couple more times to get some stuff that I may have missed the first time around, and so I now do kind of appreciate the game a little bit more than when I first finished playing it. But I don't absolutely love this game. That's the thing about this game that is pretty rock solid with opinions, that it's not, it's just okay. It's not a great Batman game. It's not as great as Batman Arkham Asylum. It's not as great as Batman Arkham City. It's just an okay Batman game. But that's kind of the beauty of these Batman Arkham games, is that even when one game isn't absolutely amazing, it's still a great Batman game. Like, if you took Arkham Asylum away, you took Arkham City away, and Arkham Origins was the first Batman game that we got, it'd be a great Batman game. It'd be the best Batman game ever if you took those other games out of the equation. It's still a great Batman game. And like I said, that's the beauty of these Arkham games. Even when one game isn't the greatest, it's still great. It's still playable as all hell. It's great. It's still a great playable Batman game, by every means of those words. But it's just not as good compared to the other Batman games. And a lot of people have been saying that they were disappointed by that. But if you were expecting Arkham Origins to be as good or even better than Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, no offense, but you're kind of setting your own self up for disappointment. Not to say that you should not expect something from a new installment. By all means, you have the right to. But setting your expectations that high up, again, you're just setting your own self up for very big disappointment. And that's the reason why I didn't end up hating this game like a lot of others, because my expectations for this game were extremely mixed were very mixed. They could go either way with this game. I mean, I knew that this game was not going to be as big as Arkham City because, well, it's a prequel, so by default it's not going to be as big as Arkham City. So that's why I didn't hate this game as much as a lot of other people probably did. I set my expectations at a reasonable level, and I got those expectations. So my expectations were met, but also kind of weren't. I expected some things, but they weren't really here. I expected a much longer story. That's my main problem with this game, other than a couple other problems, but I'll get to those in a minute, is that the game's length feels extremely short. I don't know why, but it felt extremely short to me, and a lot of people may disagree with that, but to me, the game just felt extremely short and very small. I can tell a lot of people are probably writing dick jokes in the comment section about that, but yeah, whatever. That wasn't intentional. But the game just felt so much smaller and just so much shorter than the other two Batman games, and I understand a lot of people will say, well, it is a prequel, so it kind of by default needs to be that, but that's kind of an excuse for the game developers not to pack in as much as they possibly can with the game. I think that's kind of a bullshit argument. Well, it's small because it's a prequel. Well, no, a prequel still can have a lot of stuff packed into it, and have a lot of stuff that fans would expect and that should be done in the game. So a lot of people saying that, well, it's small because it's a prequel, I think it's a bullshit argument, at least in my opinion. The game just felt extremely short. Like, when it ended, like I said, I could have had like another hour to the game, or an hour and a half at least. It could have been just so much like a longer game. When it ended, I was shocked, and that's the main reason why this game pissed me off when I first reviewed it, because it ended there. That really pissed me off. I was expecting so much more, so many other different things to happen. There's so much more that could have possibly been done. I was pissed off that it ended as abruptly as it did. And it was another one of those endings where it doesn't really end. It just sort of like stops, and that's really it. I hated that uncontrollably. And something that adds to the short length of this game is some of the side missions and the replay value. And with Arkham Origins, there is barely, there was a shred of replay value in it. There was a shred to absolutely no replay value in the game. And that was something that I despised about this game, because Batman Arkham City, one of the best things about that game is one of the most replayable games that you will ever play. You can play that game over 100 times and you will still notice small things that you never noticed before in the game, replaying it many more times after that. And either because of the side missions or little Easter eggs here and there, it was just one of the most replayable games of all time. And this game had absolutely no replay value at all. I played Arkham Asylum and Arkham City probably like 30 or 40 times. I don't know. I'm not exaggerating about that. I've literally played this game over 30 or so times. That's how much I love these games, and that's just how replayable they are. But with this game, I've only played it like maybe like 3 or 4 times, and I know I just got the game. The game just came out, so of course I'm not going to have as much as, you know, these 2 games that have been out for 2-4 years. But the game should have some replay value, and I should have played it a little bit more than 3 or 4 times at this point. And one of the reasons why it has no replay value is that the side missions, or the most wanted missions, as they call it in this game, suck ass. They are some of the worst side missions, some of the most phoned-in side missions that you'll ever have for any Batman game, or just any game in general. Most of the side missions are just, go here, beat up a couple thugs, or defuse this, or stop this, and that's really about it. And the main side missions, or most wanted missions that are exactly that, are the Shiva side mission, the Penguin side mission, and the Anarchy side mission. But at least the Anarchy side mission, you fight Anarchy. And, you know, the Shiva one, you get to fight Shiva, but that Penguin one, you don't fight Penguin at all, and that's something I really hated about this game. Now, if they had those, and they were just that, that'd be fine. But if they had more of those, again, that would be fine. But they only have, like, maybe 8, and there's only one, there's 1, so really 7. 1 is not even unlocked, and I believe that's going to be like a DLC sometime down the line. But for right now, we only have 7 side missions, and some of those side missions suck ass. The Deadshot side mission especially disappointed me. And that was something else I really hate about this game. 2 of the main assassins, 2 out of the 8 main assassins in the game don't appear in the main story. They only appear in side missions. Those side missions were incredibly disappointing. The Deadshot side mission was very disappointing because it was just a copy and paste exact same thing as the Catwoman vs. Two-Face side mission, or side quest from Arkham City. Nothing different at all, just with Batman and Catwoman's role and Deadshot and Two-Face's role, exactly the same thing. And something that really pissed me off about that is when I first beat that side mission, the game glitched up and it didn't count it as completed. I beat Deathstroke and a cutscene didn't occur, so I just went and said to myself, okay, I guess I have to walk out the door and maybe it will be saved. But it didn't save at all, and it just counted it as 0% completed, go and complete this, and I could not. I couldn't restart the game, I couldn't do anything, it was just stuck there. I could not do anything to fix that, so I had to open up a whole new game, and open up a whole new game slot, and then replay that I had to replay that exact same side quest. That really pissed me off. And that's another thing about this game. It's a whole different story, but there's too many glitches and bugs in this game. I'll get to those later, but back to the side missions. And the Shiva side mission I really hated because it was just exactly like I mentioned most of these side missions are. It's just, you go here, you beat up a couple thugs, go here, you beat up a couple thugs, go here, beat up a couple thugs, boom, boss fight. And the boss fight was extremely disappointing and mediocre and just boring and as all hell. It was just, I'd been here, done that, and it was just such a disappointing side mission. I hated it. It was very, just mediocre, like I mentioned. That's the best way to describe this game, is just mediocre. It's not horrible, but it's just very, very, you know, mediocre at best. So that was one thing about this game I really hated, was the side missions. I thought they were just really disappointing and really annoying and just tedious and repetitive. They were all almost the exact same. I think the only one that's really worth mentioning that I absolutely loved was the Mad Hatter side mission. That was very, very good. And I actually thought that was a step up from the Mad Hatter side mission in Arkham City. One of the only things in this game that I thought was actually a step up from Arkham City. It was nice being in Mad Hatter's sort of twisted, demented vision of Wonderland, so that was really fun to play. I'm glad that they got the guy who voiced Mad Hatter in Arkham City to come back and reprise his role here. I think he's a great voice for the Mad Hatter, something very creepy. I really like that, but overall the side missions just kind of sucked. Now there are some other quests that you can do, which is like the Dark Knight system, or just a couple other little crime scenes, like you can... like, the Dark Knight system is where you have to do certain tactical moves and attack certain enemies, and you'll complete, like, this whole list of, you know, stuff that you can do. But that's just, like, I don't really know how to describe it, but the Dark Knight system is a list of moves and maneuvers that you can pull on certain enemies in Gotham. Like, say, take out, perform 3 silent takedowns without being detected, and if you do, like, a bunch of different maneuvers or whatever, you can, you complete this list, and that gives you, more to maxing out the game. But that, I don't think, should be something that is telling you to do. I don't think that's something that the game should be telling you to do, to max out the game 100%. That's just something that you would do casually when you're bored with the game and you just want to go around beating up thugs. I don't think there should be instructions on telling you, hey, go beat up a thug this way, because your odds are you're going to do it by yourself without being told. So being told to go beat up thugs when you're just going to do that on instinct is annoying. Like, that you have to do something on instinct, you're being told to do something on instinct to max out the game 100%, that's bullshit. Why can't you put in something like a side mission, like a good side mission in here? I can see what they wanted to do, but, like, why do I need to be told to do that? I can already go do that by myself if I wanted to. That was something that I, again, was very disappointed with. Like, you'll put in something like that, but not a good side mission. That's incredibly disappointing. It's something I really hated about this game. Another thing that was very hated by this game, not only by me, but by pretty much everybody who bought the game, was the glitches. There were so many glitches and so many bugs in this game, it was annoying. Now, I didn't get a lot of the bugs that a lot of people had. Like, there was a there was a gliding glitch, like Batman's wings would, like, keep on popping up and going back in and going back out. I didn't get that, or there was this one, like, black hole glitch when you went to the GCR building in Burnley. I didn't get any of the aforementioned glitches like everyone else did. I got my own set of bullshit glitches. Yes, my own set. Thank you so much. And those glitches were the game would just completely freeze up during loading screens, and that really pissed me off because I was on edge thinking, oh shit, it didn't save, so I'm going to have to start all the way back, but luckily it did save and it did load. It did save my progress from the game, so when I did start it back up, I just restarted from where I was. So that was fine. Very nerve-wracking, but I did end up very, fine. But that was something that I really hated about that. And like I mentioned before, I had that Deadshot side mission glitch. And I want to know if anyone else got that glitch. And if you did, if there's anyone out there who fixed that, could you please tell me how to fix that glitch? Because currently I'm at a percentage at 53%, but I opened up another game slot to, complete that Deadshot side mission. But I completed on the first slot the Enigma side mission. And on the other one where I completed the Deadshot side mission, I did not. I don't want to do the whole Enigma side mission because that's annoying and it takes too much time to get 100% on that other slot. So if you know how to fix that Deadshot glitch, please let me know because I need it desperately. So just please. But there's so many glitches in this game. That irritated the shit out of me. And probably irritated the shit out of you guys, so I hated those in this game. It was just annoying. Another thing I just did not like about the game was, this is more of a nitpick, I don't know if anyone else had a problem with this, but it was just a personal problem that I hated about the game, was that at certain points in the game, they would have a cutscene, and then they would cut back to what seems to be, like, gameplay, like, oh, hey, the cutscene's done, I can finally play the game now. And then you would only press, like, maybe 1 or 2 buttons, and then would go back to another cutscene. I hated that. It's like, what's the point of having that little section of gameplay if you're pressing like 1 or 2 buttons? You might as well just have it be a cutscene. That's the problem that I'm getting at, is a lot of the scenes that are gameplay sequences should be cutscenes, not gameplay sequences. And one of those biggest problems, one of the biggest examples of that is the Electrocutioner's quote-unquote boss fight. The Electrocutioner is one of the main assassins in the game, and you encounter him the very first time when you go into the Penguin ship, the final offer, and they set up a huge big cutscene before you're supposed to fight him, as if this is going to be like one of the first boss fights of the game, and you're getting really pumped up and you're getting really excited, and then it cuts to gameplay, and you have Batman's life bar up, that's at full percentage or whatever, and you have Electrocutioner's full life bar up at full percentage, and you think you're gonna engage him in this huge, big, awesome boss fight that's gonna be probably lengthy and a little bit hard, but you press one button, and then it cuts to another cutscene where Batman just jumps over him and kicks him in the face. That is not a boss fight. That's a fucking cock tease of the utmost anything. It's just one of the biggest cock teases I've ever seen in any video game, comic book, movie. It's just a fucking cock tease, okay? Now, I would have been fine. Okay, scratch that. I would have been pissed if it set up in that cutscene that we were going to get a boss fight, and in that same cutscene, you just have Batman punch the Electrocutioner out once. I'd be pissed. But not as pissed as they went through with what they did in the actual game here, where they set up a huge cutscene where you're going to have a big boss fight with the Electrocutioner, and they cut to gameplay where you looks like you're going to fight the Electrocutioner, and then they cut to another cutscene after you press the X button once. And they set up a life bar, and really, they deliberately made it look like you were going to fight him, and then they deliberately did not have you fight him. That is not a mistake. That is not on accident. That was totally on fucking purpose. I swear to God, it was just totally on purpose. No other reason why they put that in the game. The creators or the developers just said, hey, want to piss off the fans? Let's do it like this. That was the biggest fucking just fuck you that this game offered to me, and I hated that. And it really pissed me off, because I was thinking, okay, fine. Maybe they're doing this because we're actually going to have a boss fight with him later in the game, okay? Maybe that's it. But he gets pushed out of the window and dies by the Joker. And that's his role in the game. You might as well have just had 7 assassins. Or better yet, 5, because the 2 other ones aren't even in the story. They're in shitty-ass side missions. So that was something that I really hated in this game. They set up this cool boss fight with the Electrocutioner, and end up not being a boss fight at all. You press one button, boom, he's gone. That's really his role in the game. He's really just a giant plot device in the game, because Batman later uses the Electrocutioner's Electro Gauntlets to track down him, as well as the other assassins later in the game to the Gotham Royal Hotel. That's his role in the game, but why have a actual person and character in the game to be a plot device like that? Why not have Batman just put a tracer on one of the assassins, boom, like he usually does in almost every single thing Batman related? Why didn't you just do something like that instead of wasting a character like that? That really, I hated that. Especially because this was a character from like the Silver Age comics that they were adapting, and they were actually kind of making really cool, and they just waste him like that. That's something I really hated. And other scenes that should have just been cutscenes instead of gameplay sequences, again, they're just scenes where there's a big cutscene, and they cut back to gameplay, you press one button, it cuts back to another cutscene. It's just useless. You might as well just make it a cutscene. There's like a billion of those in this, and I really hated that, and I thought it was just annoying and tedious. It's like, why waste a cutscene? Why chop a cutscene in half? Might as well just have it be 2. What, you just don't want to waste the animation? It's really that hard? It's really that much money? You wasted enough money in this game on all the other cutscenes. You might as well just put more into it. It's just annoying. That was something I really hated in this game. It was mostly a nitpick, but when it happened to the Electrocutioner, it became more than just a nitpick. It became a huge problem with this game that I just was infuriated by. And if you were too, please let me know, because that was just a giant fucking cock tease in the game. It was just a giant middle finger to the game players and the people that were playing the game. I hated that. That was annoying as hell. Now, I've been talking bad enough about the game, but let's actually talk about some of the stuff that I did like about the game. Well, actually, no. Before I get into some of the stuff I do like, there is one last thing, my main problem with Batman Arkham Origins, that I absolutely hate about it, which is, gameplay-wise, it is just a giant rehash of Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City. And that's one of the reasons why I loved Arkham City, was because it was in no way a rehash. It took some of the stuff that made Batman Arkham Asylum great and expanded on it. And it took some of the stuff that made Arkham Asylum, bad, and made that better and expanded on that. This game just takes the exact same gameplay mechanics and just repackages them here, which sucks ass. Well, actually, if the gameplay did in the game suck ass, that would mean that it's unplayable and it's just absolutely unbearable and not at all even near decent, which isn't at all. They do rip off gameplay from a good game, so I guess they had that good. Like, if they ripped off gameplay from a shitty game, that would be an even bigger problem. At least they're ripping off gameplay from a shitty game, from a good game. But that's something that I just loved about Arkham City, is that it didn't rip off anything or rehash anything. It advanced everything and made everything better than it was in the last installment. Here it's just, oh hey, let's just copy and paste the, gameplay, and that's all we really need to do. That's something I really, really hated. And I know a lot of people may be saying, well, it's a different company, it's different developers making the game, so it only makes sense that they would just be inexperienced in creating their own new mechanics, so that they would just copy and paste mechanics from the other two games. And to an extent, I agree with you, but this is a new studio that's doing it. A studio that has done a complete other array of different games. Why don't they take some gameplay mechanics that they've been taught and some gameplay mechanics that were from their other games and put them in here, while also mixing them with the gameplay mechanics of the other two Batman games? That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see new gameplay mechanics, but they're exactly the same here. Even with some of the boss fights, like Deathstroke. Deathstroke will, at one point, drop a smoke pellet, and then he'll pop up, and then he'll start hitting Batman with his katana, and Batman will just start blocking it while you are pressing the counter button. Oh gee, what does that remind you from? What does that remind you of? Well, the Ra's al Ghul boss fight from Batman Arkham City. They just copy and paste a lot of stuff, especially from Arkham City, into this game, and that's something I just really hated. That's something that Arkham City just wasn't. It wasn't a ripoff. It wasn't a rehash. It was something new, and it advanced everything. This just seems copy and paste. That's all we need to do. So that's the reason why I hated, main reason why I hated this game. It was just a story, gameplay-wise, a giant rehash. Now, story-wise, the game is great. Now, like with the gameplay just seemed to be like a Batman Arkham's franchise greatest hits. Didn't really do anything new or add anything new that wasn't there before. It was just a greatest hits Batman game. And that was really about it. Now, story-wise, the story is much better, but in a sense, it almost is like that too. It's like, oh, hey, a lot of people like this Batman story, a lot of people like this Batman story, a lot of people like that Batman story. Let's take some elements and throw them into here. So, both gameplay-wise and story-wise, in a sense, it is almost like a greatest hits Batman game. But story-wise, it trumps gameplay, and the story of this game is really, really great. Because it's a first encounter with Batman and the Joker, which has been done before, but I don't think it's been done as good as here. I'm not at all going to spoil the reveal of the Joker in this game, which says a lot, because I'm a guy who spoils pretty much everything in movies, comic books, video games, cartoons, and whatever. So that says a lot that I'm not revealing the reveal of the Joker here. But his reveal and his introduction to not only this franchise, but this game, you will be left saying, that's the fucking Joker. That is him in the perfect embodiment of the Joker. I mean, it may not come as a big surprise to some, but it came as a big surprise to me. And his reveal is just, it's just the Joker. I can't really describe it in any other way without spoiling it. It's just the Joker, okay? And a lot of people may be pissed off that, Black Mask isn't used as was thought by a lot of the trailers, but he still is used very nicely, and the Black Mask side mission does actually kind of make up for that, so I do like that. I love, the main story is a big encounter, it's a nice, sort of, how do I describe it? It's a first meeting of Batman and the Joker, but it's done in a great way. Like, you get a sense that this is the first time Batman's ever fighting and ever going up against somebody he has never seen before. This guy is wild. This guy's crazy. And I think that's most captured when Batman is in the Gotham Royal Hotel, and there's all the Joker playing cards everywhere, and Batman's just saying, my God, and you can just sit there watching, and you can just see Batman thinking, this is somebody that I've never met before, and I just love that. Like, they really capture that Joker is just nothing like anything Batman's ever gone up against before, which I don't think has really been captured in a lot of Batman material. I think The Dark Knight came close to doing this, but I think it's this game that really, like I said, the Joker is nothing that Batman's ever gone up against before. We need to showcase that by having it be like a first encounter story. So that I thought was great. It was a great game story-wise, and it pays homage to The Killing Joke, Year One, The Long Halloween, and it even makes this game in canon with those great graphic novels. That should be enough right there that says this game is absolutely fucking awesome. It makes it in canon with some of the best best Batman graphic novels and stories that have ever been written and ever told. That should be right there. How great of a game this is, or at least how good of a game it is. Again, it's mediocre at best. And another thing I loved about this game is the voice acting. And I'm mostly talking about the two voice actors in this game that play the two main characters of Batman and the Joker, Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker. First, let's talk about Roger Craig Smith as Batman. It's Sonic as Batman. Roger Craig Smith is one of the more recent actors to portray the character Sonic in the Sonic video games. That's awesome. Sonic as Batman. Gotta love it. But I do like his voice because he does sound a lot like a younger Kevin Conroy, and he sounds like he's like a Batman voice that's trying to be imitating instead of just is naturally intimidating. But I like that because again, this is an early Batman story. It's only Batman's second year, so it only makes sense that his voice is trying to sound intimidating instead of just being naturally intimidating. So I did like that. And then we move on to Troy Baker as the Joker. Now, when Mark Hamill said that his last performance as a Joker was in Batman Arkham City, I was very, very saddened, but also very, very happy for him. So when they announced that they were going to get a different voice actor to voice the Joker in this game, or even that they were going to have the Joker in this game, I was immediately very, very saddened by that. I mean, it just felt like they are not at all paying respects to Mark Hamill's Joker and how that Batman Arkham City game left that character and how that character left off from that game. They're just not paying any respect to that at all, or to Mark Hamill himself. But here, they couldn't have picked anybody else besides Mark Hamill to play the Joker more perfectly, because Troy Baker sounds exactly like Mark Hamill. And I know a lot of people are kind of disappointed by that. Some people will say, well, he was just doing an impression. It wasn't really an original role, but that's the friggin' point. He's playing Mark Hamill's Joker, just an earlier version of Mark Hamill's Joker from the Batman Arkham games. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, if this was a reboot, a different Batman game entirely, and he was just doing a Mark Hamill impression, I'd be disappointed, but that's not the case at all. He's playing Mark Hamill's Joker from the Batman Arkham games, just a younger version. And he does that perfectly. He sounds exactly like him, and he adds his own charm and jokes to it that he's its own role, too. So that's something that I really, really enjoyed. And he just did a great job. He knocked it out of the park, and he just completely blew me away. He was just a great, great, great Joker. And I honestly want to see him, if Mark Hamill is truly done playing the Joker, I want to see him in more Batman games. I want to see him in more animated movies. I just want to see him as the next Joker voice, like the next Joker voice next to Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill will always be my favorite Joker, but Troy Baker will definitely be another one of my favorite Jokers of all time. But that really about does it for my review of Batman Arkham Origins, and honestly, my final verdict for the game, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's still a good game. I did not at all, when I finished this game, say, that was just a waste of $60, or in my case, I got the collector edition, $120. That wasn't the case at all. This game is still worth the money. It's still worth $60. At this point, it's probably like $40, so it's still definitely worth it. It's still worth buying at full price, but there's some stuff gameplay-wise that was exactly the same, some stuff story-wise that was also exactly the same, stuff that was kind of, not original, and was a little bit contrived, but it's still a great Batman game. I still recommend it, especially if you're a big fan of the Arkham franchise, like I am myself. But the game itself is, again, like I said, just sort of a greatest hits Batman game, and not really a fresh new Batman game. And my overall opinions on this game is kind of like my opinions on after I played the Harley Quinn's Revenge DLC from Arkham City. Kind of. I walked out of it saying, it was nice that we had this, and it was nice that we got another thing to play, but it really didn't add anything story-wise to the franchise. After playing this game, I wasn't really sitting there thinking, wow, that's the reason why this series needed a prequel. There really is nothing here that there's nothing in this game where I said that needed to be a prequel. This franchise needed a prequel. It didn't need a prequel, but it is nice that we did get another Batman game. Didn't really add a lot, but didn't really take a lot either. It didn't ruin the franchise, and it still is a great playable Batman game. So I still love this game. Not love it. I still like the game, and I still do consider it a great entry in the Arkham franchise. but just not as great as Arkham Asylum or Arkham City. But if you're expecting that, you're, well, kind of as crazy as Joker, at least in my opinion. So, with that said, Arkham Origins is a decent Batman game. Not a great one, but still a decent one, and definitely worth your money. So I guess if you have someone out there in your family who's a big Batman fan, like I am myself, and for some reason they didn't get this game, definitely pick it up. It's probably at a discounted price as we speak, so yeah, definitely go check that. Definitely go get that game. But it's still a great game. I highly recommend it. So that's all I have to say about that. It's still a good Batman game. So that's it, everyone. Christmas is, well, I'm done. I'm done with my Christmas videos. I've said what I needed to say about Christmas movies or comic books or, well, now video games. So that's really all I have to say now for Christmas. Until next year, I'm 123 Movies Rolling. I'll see you guys next year with more Christmas reviews as well as just more reviews in general. But the year is not over yet. I still have to recount a lot of the stuff from 2013. So that's why next week, next time, really, I'll be talking about my favorite movie of the year as well as my least favorite movies of the year. That's why next week I'll see you guys here on my channel. So that's all I have to say about that, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.